What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a uh, a new kind of stream, something that we have not done before. Not sports betting related at all. We are doing today a tier list ranking all 46 Summer Olympic sports based on how good or bad of a sport it is. So this tier list idea is something that we've been talking about for a little bit. It's just a different kind of content to keep us on Twitch. Baseball's a bit weird right now. We've been talking about that in the Discord. There's like the sticky stuff changes happening. It's been like a month or so since that went into effect, but I still think it's having an impact on how easy or difficult it is to predict those games. So we're still holding off on the baseball streams. We are certainly gearing up for NFL season. I know Ben and I are both really excited for what we have coming up in terms of the NFL. But in order to fill in some of this gap and hit that transition into the NFL season, we thought that this tier list idea was going to be a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to say on that note, Nick, of course there are people who care about baseball. We know that, but across the board, it's not just our audience, it's literally across the board. It's summer right now, and school's about to start, so people are on vacation. Baseball's just not really top of mind for a lot of people, which it's okay. I'm a huge baseball fan myself, but I'm gonna call it how I see it. For example, I post a tweet or Instagram post about the Broncos win total or any team, and it gets 3 times the clicks it does compared to an MLB article or MLB content type post. So it is what it is. But I'm glad we can switch things up with this because the Olympics do start tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's why we decided to do this tonight. Again, the Olympics, like Ben said, start up tomorrow. Opening ceremony very early in the morning. I see we have at least one DGen, which is Jake. Already took Bahrain with the spread against Germany in Olympic handball. Love to see it, I think.
Bahrain. See, that's the beautiful thing about the Olympics, though. I mean, they're on the map, Bahrain.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's be real. How many times are they brought up in a day?
I mean,
I bring them up a lot, Nick, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Bahrain just in casual conversation all the time. But that's us. So some other tier lists that we have planned before we hop into this are going to include some betting stuff. So with talking about NFL, various kinds of NFL futures, say with the MVP odds, I think we're planning on talking about that in the form of a tier list. So we'll have a bunch of players, we'll have their MVP odds, and we'll kind of just rank them on a tier list based on how good or bad of a bet that is.
Yeah, and Nick, real quick, how many Olympic sports do we have here?
46 Summer Olympic sports. So I'm going to assume that everybody is more or less familiar with the way a tier list works. Basically, though, if you go into an S tier, that means you're like the best Olympic sport. All the way down to shouldn't be a sport. That means that not only should you not be in the Olympics, but you should just be banned from being a sport completely.
Oh, so we're saying that shouldn't be a sport is literally we're getting rid of that.
That's where I'm going. I mean, you can disagree.
Oh, wow. No, that's fine. I just want to make sure we're on the same page. Because then if something goes there, that's like that's big time.
Hey, I mean, you got to do what you got to do, right?
That's true.
All right, so let's start this off. We're going more or less alphabetical order with archery. So Ben, do you have any opinions on Olympic archery?
I think it's fun to watch. It's one of those sports you can watch for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then I think you kind of just get disengaged at that point. At least that's how I feel. So I'm thinking like BC.
Yeah, I was leaning towards C tier for archery.
Yeah.
It's not like you said. It's not like a super exciting sport. It's got its tense moments, but it doesn't have like on the edge of your seat moments. I think
you're
also
not going to turn on archery in December, right? Like
yeah. Another thing that I don't like about Olympic archery is that it's really dominated by South Korea, which is no disrespect to the South Koreans, but I think they've won, I read, 23 of the last 34 gold medals in Olympic archery.
Wow.
And I think it's a detractor from any Olympic sport when it's dominated by one country. It's
well,
just a little bit less exciting.
Well, okay, we'll get to one.
Yeah,
now.
I may or may not be foreshadowing some stuff with that.
Yeah, I think we might have a disagreement on one of these, but we'll
So
see.
are we okay to throw archery in the C tier?
Yeah, I like C. C's good with me.
Okay, cool. So next up we have artistic swimming, aka synchronized swimming. I'm gonna. I'm like between. I think maybe it goes in C tier also. Although on the
Yeah.
other hand, maybe it goes in just shouldn't be a sport.
I'm on.
I feel
I'm
like
thinking C or D. I think D
yeah, I'll go with D.
because I mean it is one of those sports. It does take athleticism because you're basically treading water in synchronized movements, but how entertaining is that to watch though? That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. I think I like archery more than I like this one, both on its athletic merits and on entertainment side. So
Yeah, I'm good with D.
okay, so next up we have athletics. So this is like your track and field. I think
track and field.
yeah. So athletics is track and field and like road racing, like with your feet, as opposed to cycling road racing.
Okay.
I think.
I mean, you go first.
Oh no, I mean it's S tier. It's got to be S tier.
Yeah, I was gonna say S or A, but I mean, you have so many different events in that.
Yeah, and this is like the creme de la creme. Everybody in these events, the Olympics is the gold standard. You don't care about. I mean, you care, but not as much about like a world championship that happens every year. But the Olympics is when everybody tunes in. Like if Usain Bolt is out there, the whole world is watching.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, it makes it an S tier Olympic sport.
Yeah.
As just a regular sport, it's not an S tier sport, but as an Olympic sport, it's an S tier sport.
Yeah, I can't argue. That has to be an S.
All right. So next up, also, if anybody who's watching has any opinions on anything that we're saying, I see Jake says we're 3 for 3.
Yes.
So that's
We
good.
could always be 3 for
But if you disagree with anything that we're saying, let us know. I said in the Discord, bring your hot takes. Love to hear what you guys have to say. So I've got a hot take here with baseball and softball, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
So we're purely talking Olympic baseball and softball.
Yes. No, this is not how these are just as sports. This is how they are as Olympic sports.
I'm gonna go D.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah,
That's where I was going to put this to.
Olympic baseball hasn't been a thing for years.
Yeah, I don't think anybody cares.
Yeah, I mean, the best baseball players in the world are playing in the MLB, and that's always how it's going to be. So
Yeah. Softball is probably a little bit higher up, but it having to be grouped with baseball, I think makes it a D tier. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty trash sport as an Olympic sport. It's only an Olympic sport because domestic leagues for it are so popular. All right, basketball. I think this is where we're going to disagree.
So I'm thinking B.
You're thinking B tier for basketball? I can do a B tier for basketball. I think that's fine. Any higher than that, and I was gonna argue.
Yeah. So the reason why I am not going with A on that is, I mean, the United States dominates pretty often, and I mean from 20. Yeah, I would say '08 to, I mean, hopefully now, but it's been pretty dominant by the United States. I mean, it's kind of fun having that team to try to take down, but when they just win it every year, it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah, it's not exciting, I don't think.
Yeah, but I will say though, USA aside, in the competition gap, it's pretty good basketball. I mean, international ball's a little different, but I mean, there's defense being played. They box out. They have more defensive
But
principles.
is that like a good standard to have? Right? They play defense. They box out. They utilize good defensive principles. Like every professional, every amateur should do those things.
Well, Nick, you tell me. I mean, the NBA doesn't do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if we're rating like professional sports leagues, NBA gets a D tier. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that just because the NBA is so bad that makes Olympic basketball any better. I mean, it makes it a little better.
It's refreshing.
But it's also there's the inevitability of the U.S. winning.
Yeah.
So
That's fair. I mean, I'm trying to make a little bit of a case for it, but I think B's good. We agreed upon that.
I'm cool with B tier. All right. So next up we have 3-on-3 basketball, which is making its Olympic debut this year. Fun fact: the U.S. men's 3-on-3 Olympic basketball team did not even qualify for the Olympics. Robbie Hummel was the best player on that team. We were looking it up earlier.
And for that, shouldn't be a sport.
You know, Ben, we didn't talk about these ahead of time, but we're in total agreement here. I think this shouldn't be a thing. Like, why does this need to exist? Why do we need to watch
like
a worse version of the already mediocre product that exists?
Robbie Hummel? I remember when you told me that because I'm like 3-on-3 basketball is a sport, and you're like Robbie Hummel, and I'm like Robbie Hummel. He hasn't played basketball for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not going to be playing basketball in the Olympics because the U.S. was that bad. So I will say, like Jake, it is going to be interesting to watch. It could totally prove us wrong. I am expecting it to be a little bit more up tempo, a little bit more offensive. I mean, you can't cover as much of the floor defensively with only 3 people on the floor. So it could prove us wrong. We might have to come back and revise this after the Olympics this year. But
it's one of those 3-on-3 is one of those things where you're going to be like, oh man, this is kind of cool. I've never seen it before. But then immediately you're going to be like, whatever.
I mean, it's like the basketball tournament, right? But it's countries.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a cool concept? Sure.
And
does anybody really actually care? Not really.
Yeah, and I think that's why track and field is at the top, because we're pretty confident that the 99.999 whatever percentile of these athletes are in those events at that time.
You're making
With
an excellent point there.
You can't say that. So.
Yeah. All right. So next up we have badminton. I kind of like badminton.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I've watched it. I played it before.
Yeah, it's a fun sport to play. It's an easy sport to follow for the casual fan. Yeah. It's got a lot of viewability, right? There's exciting moments, there's tense moments. I think
you get some exciting volleys going on.
Yeah, I think badminton deserves a solid B tier.
Ooh, I don't know. I think B's pushing it. I think C, because if we're gonna put badminton and basketball on the same level.
Yes, we are. Olympic badminton and Olympic basketball, right?
I like C for that.
Let's take a tiebreaker. Jake, where do you think this should be?
He's gonna say A, which I guess would
or anybody. Where do you think this should be? I feel pretty strongly that this should be B. I was even leaning a potential A for badminton, but then I was like, it probably doesn't deserve an A.
Like, you want that to be your first hot take?
Okay, we'll put badminton in C for now.
Okay.
Oh, badminton B. Okay, thank you, Jake.
All right.
Yeah, I mean it's.
I can live with that. I can live with that.
So next up, beach volleyball.
I'm going A.
I totally agree. I think beach volleyball is an easy A tier sport.
2-on-2. Oh, I guess it's just beach. Yeah. So, I actually think and I don't even think this is a hot take. I think 2-on-2 volleyball is more fun to watch than 6-on-6 personally.
I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
Yeah.
Or anybody that doesn't play 6-on-6 doesn't disagree with that. I think beach volleyball is one of the most exciting sports. It's got like star power, right? You have like that
bikinis.
Yeah, I mean we're not going to sexualize people for rankings, right? I mean, maybe. But
wait, never mind. We gotta start over.
No, I mean, yeah. I Did I think about that? Like, yeah.
Alright.
Am I gonna use that for my ranking? No.
So you were thinking it, you just didn't want to say it on stream.
Well, no, I thought about it, and then I purposefully did not use it
Okay.
as a ranking criteria
Subconsciously.
because that's silly, right? Are we then also gonna boost up synchronized swimming because they're in swimsuits? No. So why would we do it for beach
Never mind.
volleyball?
I'm gonna stop right there.
Yeah, I know, but you see,
Okay, yeah, it's a slippery slope. So
yeah, but I mean, I think
Regardless.
from its purely athletic and sporting competition merits, I think beach volleyball deserves an A.
yeah, it's really fun to watch. So hey,
Boxing.
ooh man,
I think boxing deserves a C.
yeah, because they still have some pretty good boxers in there from Mexico and Cuba, some of those other countries, but I just don't know how.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
Boxing's weird right now, as a whole, whether it's in the Olympics or out.
yeah. So I mean, the Olympic boxing has amateurism rules, so no professional boxers are going to participate. So I mean, it's either a pro or a con depending on how you look at it. So I think it's kind of a neutral thing. I don't think that anybody really remembers Olympic boxing champions. Like people remember professional boxing champions. Nobody really remembers who won the gold medal in boxing 4 years ago or 8 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like baseball. It's just
Yeah, it's like I think it's a slightly better version of Olympic baseball
yeah.
from that perspective.
So I'm fine with what did we say? C?
I said C. I could
fine with
see
C.
a D. We might want to adjust that later
Yeah,
on.
that
but,
could be a one on the fence there.
Yeah. So next up, canoe slalom. So this is like a whitewater downhill canoeing. Obstacle course
C.
canoeing. Yeah, I mean, honestly though, so I love the idea of this sport. I don't remember ever actually seeing it on TV.
Well, it is newer.
It's been in the Olympics consistently since 1992.
Oh, well, never mind then.
Made its debut in 72, was off the books for 20 years, and then has been back since 1992. So, I mean, if we can compare this to the canoe sprint, which is the flat water canoeing, I think the sprint is a better sport.
Yeah, I'm fine with a D there. It's not gonna.
Have you ever watched this in your life in the
Yeah, I
Olympics? Can you name any countries that are good at it?
No, I can't.
And neither can I.
So yeah, that's fine with me. D's fine.
All right. And on the same boat, we have the sprint canoe. I'm almost inclined to put this in a D tier also, just because the rowing is better.
Yeah. Let's go D.
Yeah, I feel like maybe this is just my opinion, but I think that the canoe sports are just outshined by the rowing sports. Like the rowing is cool. The rowing is awesome. There's like, I don't know, for whatever reason, I feel like there's star power and there's storylines in the rowing events.
People
But
yell at
the
each
canoe
other,
is
it's
just
competitive.
it's completely second fiddle.
Yeah.
So next up we have BMX racing.
I'm thinking C.
Yeah,
It is kind of fun to watch, though.
It is. It is. I like the racing events. I think that there's just like a natural inherent competitiveness to them. And I think that I guess I should say side by side racing events, like first one across the finish line wins. I think that those are exciting.
Totally.
At the same time, though, is it the best racing event? No. Is it the best cycling event? No. Is it the best BMX event? And maybe we'll have to see.
Nick,
I kind of agree.
I have one question I want to ask, and this is the only time I'm going to do this about the Winter Olympics. I just have to know.
Yeah.
Where would curling go?
I think curling is. Can we just add like a meme tier for curling?
I like curling a lot.
I think that curling is cool. I also think that curling is the sport that everybody hypes up. Like, oh man, I'm such a big fan of the Olympics. I even like curling,
Because it's a great sport. I'm
right?
giving it a B.
But it's like so underrated that it's overrated, and it kind of feels like a giant meme to me. I do like the curling. I think that the curling
yeah,
is like I was gonna say B tier. I would say more towards A than C.
yeah. I'm good with the BA there. All right, but back to the summer games.
Back to the summer games. So BMX freestyle. So this is a new Olympic sport this year. So actually, I looked it up. This is park.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're at the skate park on your bicycle, that's what this is. It's a, I think like Jake said, it's a X Games sport. It's not really an Olympic sport. It's the Olympic organizers trying to be hip and cool, adding in a new sport. I think this is probably going to be a D for me.
I'm gonna go C. Because it is fun to watch, but does it fit in the Olympics? I don't know, and it's the first year, so
Yeah, we'll have to see how it looks competition wise at the Olympic level.
yeah.
I mean, I will say, even as far as X Games sports are concerned, the freestyle BMX is not really one that I like.
Fair.
I mean, and I don't even think that I'd give the higher tier X Games sports any higher than maybe a B on this list if they were in the Olympics.
That's fine.
Mountain bike racing. No, teacher, this is not betting difficulty. This is purely based on their sporting merits. How good or bad of an Olympic sport is it?
Don't worry, we're gonna do
There's gonna be
not Olympics, but
yeah, there's gonna be plenty of betting related tier lists on the way. This was kind of just an impromptu thing because the Olympics opening ceremony is tomorrow morning. So
Cherry's like, you can bet on artistic swimming.
Oh, I'm sure you can. It would it would be insane if you couldn't bet on it. But yeah, we are ranking these purely based on how good or bad of an Olympic sport it is. So here's the full tier list that we have as of this moment. So what are we talking about? We're talking about mountain bike racing.
I'm thinking C again.
Yeah, I think mountain bike racing
I'll watch it.
Is good for a C.
It's just
Yeah. I'm kind of on board.
The C's I feel like you'll watch for an hour and then that's it.
Yeah, I'm a little bit biased towards these kinds of cycling sports, like the cycling sports, not the BMX sports. But I think that this is probably my least favorite of the three. So next up, we have the road race in cycling. I think this is a really cool one.
Wait, so cycling track is obviously...
Yeah, so cycling track is in the velodrome. And then the cycling road race is like the 200-mile first across the finish line wins.
Okay.
There's a lot of drama in these. I think I want to give the cycling road race a B.
It's not the Tour de France, though.
That's why it only gets a B.
Okay.
As far as sporting events go, the Tour de France is an A tier, borderline S tier sporting event. That might be a hot take for some people, but that's the way that I feel.
Yeah.
But I think that the road race, the Olympic road race, is a B, and I think this is probably where I would put like the cycling world championships also on that kind of tier list. But yeah, it's a super exciting event to watch. There's just one race, first one across the finish line wins. You get plenty of excitement, you get plenty of tension. It's not something that drags out over the course of a week. But at the same time, it's not like the pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah.
So track cycling.
At least a C.
Yeah, I kind of want to give this a B also.
Yeah, I actually like watching the track cycling more than I do road cycling, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah, so I could see that. I think personally, I put them in the same tier. So where would you put speed skating? I kind of think of this as like the speed skating equivalent. So yeah, I think speed skating is a solid B tier. winter Olympic sport. I think that the track cycling is a pretty easy comparison to make, equivalency wise, between summer and winter. So I think a B tier is great here. Diving.
You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
B.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. See, this is one of those that I really think there's people who would put this in like D, or it shouldn't be a sport. To be completely honest.
Yeah, I
Some
think
people just don't like diving.
Yeah, I like the diving.
Yeah,
I think it's something that I won't turn off if it's on. I would never turn it on if it wasn't the Olympics, but I would leave it on indefinitely for the Olympics. I think that
you know
makes
why
it a great
diving-
Olympic sport.
You know why it's a good one to watch? It's just great to see. Oh wow, that guy dove 30 feet and barely made a splash, right? But the flip side, sometimes you're kind of like, I kind of want to see someone mess up, but you never say it out loud, right?
Oh,
You're
I
never
never.
like,
I don't think that. It's like watching NASCAR for crashes.
No, that's different. You can't die from diving.
I mean, you could.
Well,
you could
but you know what I mean. Like,
snap your neck on the water or something. I don't know. I'm sure it's
you're like,
happened.
woo!
Yeah.
I just think it has a little bit of anticipation to it, you know, just like this guy's about to jump in the water. Is it going to be a good dive, bad dive? And also the scoring system's really good too, because if a guy or gal is like third or fourth, you're like, oh, he needs a whatever 5.8, and then you know a little bit of a competitiveness on that front. So yeah, I think a B's good.
Yeah, I like to be here. Next up, we have equestrian. This is an easy decision for me. This just shouldn't be a sport. It's not even horse racing. It's like how to train your horse. It's like doing dog commands, but you're torturing the animal by riding it.
That I was gonna say D.
I think this shouldn't be a sport.
Where we're not judging the appearance. Okay, shouldn't be a sport.
I think it's a silly sport.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't watch it.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen's daughter.
That's the storyline.
I guess, yeah.
That's
I
actually
think
Nick. You know this down in like Texas. TCU has a really good equestrian program.
yeah, but who cares? Nobody.
I mean, you get paid.
It's you can get paid to do a lot of things, Ben.
Esports.
I love esports.
They've been trying to get that on the Olympics.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah, I'd give it a B.
esports. I think. Well, I don't know. As an Olympic sport, it's
Yeah,
kinda
I
weird.
don't know.
And this is coming from a huge esports fan.
Yeah, I don't know if it has its place there. Ooh,
Yeah.
this next one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, fencing. I really like fencing.
So I like it, but I don't think I can give it. I can't give it an A.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was thinking, so our A tier is a little empty right now.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I think fencing just feels like the perfect B tier Olympic sport.
yeah, we can go B.
Yeah. Football, aka soccer.
So what's the deal with men's soccer in the Olympics?
Okay, so I think on either side. Not on the women's side. Only on the men's side. It's U23, so it's an under 23 tournament, but you get 3 exceptions. So like Argentina. Blue. Argentina could bring Messi. Sorry, my dog is growling on camera at me.
You
Ben's dog is
could,
being
but they're
quiet.
not bringing Messi.
Yeah, well, no, they probably could though. They certainly could.
Yeah.
But I think that the men's soccer is a little bit silly. I think that the women's
Yeah.
soccer is great.
Should we just go purely? Well, we can't really.
I
gotta
I
take
think
the
I
full
think the
thing.
men's soccer probably gets a D. The women's soccer is probably a B.
So C.
So I think it falls in the C.
Yeah.
And
Which is silly. They do that under 23. Like.
yeah, I mean it's kind of like with the amateurism, kind of half in, half out that the Olympics is on. It's like a meet in the middle spot type of thing with that.
Yeah, C's good with me.
Golf.
C.
That's gonna go D.
Yeah, that's fine.
Golf doesn't feel like it belongs in the Olympics. And
I was thinking CD for that one. So
yeah. Handball.
this is an interesting one.
Yeah, handball's really cool. I love handball.
It is pretty good, but I can't give it a B.
Oh, I was gonna say B. It feels like just the perfect B level Olympic sport. Right? It's like you only watch it during the Olympics. You probably wouldn't turn it off, but it's not like an A level sport.
I'm okay with that. Just obviously not an A. Okay,
We gotta find
go
some
B.
A's pretty soon. I think we have some coming up though. Hockey, field, aka field hockey.
Field hockey. I mean, I turn on field hockey and then I'm just like, oh man, field hockey, woo, and then it's boring to me.
Yeah, no, this isn't one that I tune into. I would take a C. I would take a D.
I think D.
Alrighty.
It's I don't know anyone who plays field hockey. Not that that's how we judge these, but
I don't know anybody, like, I wouldn't tune into this over anything ranked above it. Judo.
You start this one.
I think that a lot of these kind of second tier combat sports all go in the C tier.
That's what I was thinking.
I think judo can go in the C, and I also think that karate can go in C.
Yeah, we
And,
could just put that in there.
no disrespect to these sports. It's just I'd rather watch wrestling, and I'd rather watch MMA, which is obviously not an Olympic sport.
Yeah, C's a good spot for those two.
Marathon swimming.
I'm gonna go C.
Yeah, I think it's another C. I'm on board with that. It's
Yeah.
like cool you can swim for a long ass time. It's an impressive athletic feat for sure. It's like the opposite of riveting television though.
Yeah, and the way they show it, it's we're gonna show, 3 clips and then the last minute, right? There's a reason why they do that. If they showed an hour long or whatever it is, 30 minutes, hour or whatever, you're not gonna watch the whole thing. Come on.
Yeah. So next up, modern pentathlon. Okay.
So fun fact, Nick. I know a girl who is in this. Oh wait, no, that's the heptathlon, right?
Yeah, that's in athletics.
Okay. Anyways,
Ben,
Annie Kuntz, really cool.
Can you
she's
tell me
in that.
the 5 sports that make up the modern pentathlon?
I can't.
Okay, so get this. Ready? It's five sports, obviously, because it's a pentathlon. You have running. You have swimming. You also have equestrian.
Wow.
You also have fencing. And you also have shooting.
So by default, if we're taking the averages of our rankings,
It shouldn't be a sport.
just because equestrian's in there.
But this is so stupid.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, it has to go back to like the Greek
Yeah,
days.
it's not back to the Greeks. They didn't have guns in ancient Greece, Ben. Shooting.
Well, they
is in
had
this.
they had rocks.
They did. They did have rocks.
Yeah.
They could have had like
Evolution.
the slingshot instead. But yeah, this was invented in 1912. There's been many attempts to remove it from the Olympics because it's really stupid. Like
Yeah.
This was like if you write a book about what you think the future is going to look like, and then it just doesn't age well at all. That's what this is.
Yeah.
It's just a
I've
completely
never watched
ridiculous
that.
set of things to be good at. And maybe that's the point, but no. Rhythmic gymnastics. Yeah, it's like exactly. It's not even modern anymore.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go C here.
for rhythmic gymnastics.
Well, okay. Timeout. Do we have three gymnast categories?
Yes, there's three gymnastics categories. There's rhythmic gymnastics, which we have here. There's artistic gymnastics, which is gymnastics, and there's trampoline gymnastics. So rhythmic gymnastics is, according to Wikipedia, a sport in which gymnasts perform on a floor with an apparatus. There is a hoop, a ball, clubs, ribbon, and rope. In the same way that there's like 5 disciplines of artistic gymnastics.
But Nick, real quick, should we have a fourth gymnast category then?
No.
What about like?
So the standard gymnastics that we think of, like Simone Biles gymnastics, is artistic gymnastics.
Oh, that is okay.
So this is rhythmic gymnastics. This is like people in tutus flailing. Okay, around.
So not a sport.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
I just had to make sure that we were on the same page with these. Mm-hmm. Like it's like a dance competition in a way.
Yeah, and I don't think it deserves to be an Olympic sport.
Now, everyone, before you get your you know what in a bunch, wait till we get the gymnastics, okay? Because right now we're not doing well with the gymnastics crowd, Nick.
That's okay.
Yeah, we'll redeem ourselves.
So next up we have rowing.
Man, I'm gonna have to go A.
I kind of like rowing as an A-tier Olympic sport as well.
Yeah, we can't put it on the S,
but no, it's certainly not an S tier.
It's an A.
But I think it's a solid A-tier sport. It's exciting. You have storylines. Yeah. There's like a little bit of star power. Mm-hmm. Just fun to watch. And I tell you what, go row at your gym on a rowing machine for 2 minutes. Let me know how you feel. So next up we have rugby. And I think that rugby as an Olympic sport is pretty stupid.
Yeah, I was thinking D.
I think it's like baseball, softball for me.
Yeah.
I think rugby is an easy D tier. Sailing.
I'm going to go D.
Yeah. I was kind of between D and shouldn't be a sport for sailing. Mm-hmm. I won't be that mean, though.
Yeah. Respect to the sailors.
Yeah, respect to the sailors. I mean, I think it is a sport. And the Olympics, I don't follow sailing at all. But I'm sure that the Olympics is one of the more prestigious events in the sailing calendar.
Yeah.
Shooting.
I'm actually going to give this a C.
You sound like you were ready to call it shouldn't be a sport or something. And that was like your hot, optimistic take. I was ready to put this in C also.
It's just because like when you first hear, oh, shooting's a sport, that's weird. But then I've watched it before. It's actually entertaining.
Oh, so here's my Winter Olympics hot take. I think that biathlon is an S tier Winter Olympic sport.
Oh, wow. That's, man, good thing we're not out winter right now.
Yeah. But I mean that's the way that I feel. I feel like it's like this the history of it is really cool, right? It's like an actual practical, it seems like a weird combination of things to have to do, but it's like if you live up in the north, that you have to do that to survive. You have to cross country ski and then be able to shoot accurately despite having done crazy cardio.
Yeah.
So shooting is like half of that. I can't give it a D. I can't give it a shouldn't be a sport, but at the same time, it's like an easier, less cool looking version of it. So I think it gets a C. Next up, skateboarding.
Oh man, this may be a hot take. I don't know if skateboarding should be a sport in the Olympics.
Okay, so how are you going to put skateboarding and then the BMX sports in a different spot?
Because it's a bicycle.
It's a skateboard. They're literally this. So the skateboard is also park. So the BMX freestyle and the skateboarding are literally taking place on the same exact venue.
All right, fine. I'll give it a D.
I'm cool with a D. And yeah, Jake, I totally agree that the biathlon overshadows the summer shooting and makes it worse. Yeah. Sport climbing. making its Olympic debut this year. So I looked this up because I wasn't quite sure how this works. There's actually 3 different disciplines being used here, which are all seemingly at least pretty distinct from one another. But then the same athletes have to compete in all 3 of them, and then their scores are combined. So it's almost like having like BMX, freestyle, BMX in like the half pipe, whatever you call it, and then like a BMX street, which is 3 different athletes who compete in those things, but then having them do them all and combining it. I think that's a little silly. Mm-hmm. At the same time, I mean, does it deserve to be at least have a shot in the Olympics? I would say yeah. So I think I would give this a D tier
For the climbing?
for the climbing.
Yeah, I'll give it a D.
I could be talked into a C.
Just because, I mean, climbing is
It has the potential to be really cool. I think that the way that they did it is weird.
Yeah.
It would be like if Olympic basketball was a solo event and then everybody competed in a 3-point shooting contest and a slam dunk contest, and then your scores in those 2 were combined to award medals.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, maybe that's a bad example.
Yeah, that's a bad. It would be like I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But for the first time it's introduced, that's,
Yeah, I think it's going to do a good job introducing a more casual audience to the sport. I don't know if it's good at actually capturing this is what this sport is. So next up we have surfing. Also, what's up, Larry? You did miss a lot. Here's the tier list. Right now we have 1 S tier sport, which is sports, beach volleyball, and rowing. Bunch of stuff in B, including basketball, which is probably the hot take of all of this so far. I just tried to put down sport climbing and made basketball. Oh, yeah, exactly. I think, so that would be really cool. But that wouldn't be like Olympic basketball, right? As an Olympic sport, that would be awful. As as an all-star event sport, that would be like the coolest thing ever.
Nick, why are you throwing shade at rock climbers?
I'm not throwing shade at rock climbers. I'm throwing shade at the kind of non-rock climbers who developed this event in its current format.
Okay.
Surfing. What is your take on Olympic surfing, Ben?
I'm on the fence on shouldn't be a sport in D.
Yeah, I kind of want to put it in shouldn't be a sport.
Why is this an Olympic sport? It's almost like they get in a room and they're like, we have to get a few sports in here.
Yeah, I think this is another. It's in there for the same reasons as the BMX sports, but it's been around for a little bit longer. So now that we all know it sucks.
Yeah, can't wait to see the Russian surfers out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, as a competitive thing, surfing is weird, right? Because just different people get different waves. There's just so much variability in that. Like, how do you give a completely impartial judgment?
That is true, though. You're right.
With that,
they have to have they should have a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
Like a surf station.
Yeah. So next up, we have swimming. So Larry, shouldn't be sports that we have right now with 3-on-3 basketball, which is debuting this year, equestrian, the modern pentathlon, rhythmic gymnastics, and surfing is what we have in the should not be sports tier. And we'll go through this fully again when we're finished up. I mean, there's not enough room on the screen to keep everything on. Swimming, I mean, it's an easy S tier, right?
Is it an easy S?
I think it's an easy S tier.
Hold on, I have to think about this. I'm not just going to go easy to an S.
What is your holdup?
I just want to think about it, because if we can't just throw out S's, we got to think about it. We got to have some justification.
I mean, there's a ton of swimming, which I think is a good thing.
It's definitely an A. I'll say it's an S, just because you have the sprints. I mean, that's pretty good.
There's so much. It is so much drama. There's so much excitement. There's so much star power.
Yeah.
There's so much tension.
So
You
in
can
a
watch a
perfect,
lot of it.
in a hypothetical world, if Michael Phelps didn't exist, would you still give this an S?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There's so much star power in swimming, right? Like we still have Katie Ledecky right now.
That is true. Yeah. All right, I'm good with this. I just wanted to think about it.
Yeah. I think Jake, you said this earlier. I kind of ignored it because we hadn't got to two of the sports yet, but I totally agree with your S tier distribution that you said earlier. Next up, table tennis. I I'm A B here.
I'm B because we just can't give it an A because look what we have at A. I mean, it's more of a B than an A. And also, if we're gonna put table tennis above basketball, then we need to think about basketball. So,
But I still kind of stand by the fact that Olympic basketball is pretty mediocre. It being the NBA is not a. It's like saying this flower smells better than the shit that I took this morning. Like that doesn't mean it smells good.
yeah, but we still have really good athletes out there.
Yeah, I mean we have the best athletes in every sport out here.
Okay,
That's not an argument for anything.
but I'm saying, never mind. I'll leave it at that.
The most athletic of the athletes
Yes.
is probably in the sport called athletics. If you want to be technical,
I mean, I guess
it's literally called athlete.
but you're thinking of that with the combination of all the events into one.
I think if we split athletics up into all of its component events, like 4 or 5 of them go in S tier.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the sprinting is an S tier sport. I think the decathlon is an S tier sport. I think that the pentathlon is probably also an S tier sport. I think like the long jump and the pole vault are both A tier sports.
My initial argument though is table tennis, so
Yeah.
I think that's why it's a B.
Aside from the fact that you just are a big basketball fan, just as an Olympic entity, why is basketball?
It's actually a fun sport to watch from the standpoint of the competition level and the product as a whole. It's almost a better product than the NBA.
But again, that doesn't mean anything, right?
Well, I mean, I think so. I think to some standpoint.
But the NBA is a
part of the
terrible
criteria.
product.
I'm just saying in general. I wasn't comparing it to anything.
You were comparing it to the NBA.
I was. It's a B.
I think basketball is B or even a C as an Olympic sport. It's just the familiarity factor, right? Like, oh, high level of competition. They're all high levels of competition. It's better than what's going on when there's not the Olympics. So are all of them. But it shouldn't be, right? It's just the fact that the NBA is so bad is what makes it a.
Well,
like
I still think
if the NBA was a great league, basketball would be with baseball, I think.
Well,
anyways,
if we want to use another one of your arguments, we can't name any of the table tennis players.
No. We can't.
Okay.
I mean, we can't name any of the rowers. But we put that in A.
Oh, Bocheski. Kidding.
I mean, I can't say that you're wrong.
Yeah. 25% chance there. All right, let's go to the next one.
Taekwondo.
Well, if we got judo out of C.
Yeah, I think it goes with the other combat sports that aren't wrestling. Artistic gymnastics. S tier.
Yeah, I think that has to go S. Want to talk about top athletes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, some of those gymnastics competitors, I mean, they start at 3, 4 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
and
all
they
know.
end at like 14 or 15.
Yeah, their growth is stunted because the way they train.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, if I don't even think you can be competitive if you're pushing 5'10". It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's kind of like a horse racing, right? Jockeys have to be like 120 pounds max.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Or like different types of cyclists,
Yeah.
right? If you look at guys who win the Tour de France, I mean, I guess Tadej Pogacar is weird because he's like 6'2", but aside from that, you're looking at guys who are 5'7",
Yeah.
5'8".
I would have been a really good cyclist, maybe Olympics, but just too ripped.
True. Tennis.
So I'm actually a little confused on this because isn't there something similar with amateurism with this? Or no?
No.
So do we have the best tennis athletes
Yeah, you have
in the Olympics?
like Novak Djokovic is
Okay.
going to be at the Olympics.
I'll give it an A then.
Are you joking?
What?
It's I think it's like a C.
So we have the best tennis. We have the top tennis athletes.
We have the best athletes from literally
I
every
know,
sport
but
at
that's
the Olympics, aside from
No,
the
not
ones
on every
aside
sport.
from soccer and boxing
And 3-on-3
and
and soccer and golf.
no, the best golfers are there. There's no amateurism rules with golf.
Oh, there's still people who just don't compete.
Well, I mean that's the same with
Phil
other sports,
Mickelson
too.
isn't at the golf Olympics.
Yeah, I mean there's people who opt out of every sport.
Yeah, so that goes into my rankings. I gotta think about this.
But so my thing with tennis is it's kind of like the same as with a lot of these other sports that are kind of big sports, right? There's just stuff that people care more about than tennis, than Olympic tennis. Like tennis fans, the Olympics is certainly not an S tier or an A tier tennis event. So how can it be an A tier Olympic sport?
Okay, I'm fine with B then. I don't think it should be C though.
I think it should be. Jake said I didn't even know tennis was in the Olympics.
Well, that's because Jake is very studious.
Yeah, you
doesn't
didn't even know if the pros could play or not before you gave it a ranking.
Why would? But I don't think it should be a C
Larry,
because
we have golf in the D tier. It's like golf. It's the same exact thing as golf.
except no Phil Mickelson.
Right? It's got to be in the same category as golf.
Sure. Man,
Remember, we're ranking them as an Olympic sport, not just as a sport.
I agree.
As a sport, tennis is an A tier sport.
Okay,
But its A tier and its S tier events, and probably even its B tier events, are not the Olympics.
what can we ask this few who are in here? B or C?
Or D.
You would go D?
I mean, I think it should be with golf.
Man.
I'm fine with the C.
Wow. B, C, D. I'm telling you, this is a tough one because
I think C
if we're gonna get the top, okay,
C is in the middle.
well.
Ben, every
We do
sport
have the
has
top athletes in every sport.
aside from the ones with the amateurism rules, we get the top athletes in every sport. And the ones that are stupid.
Okay,
like
here's the other
basketball.
problem. In America, maybe we don't care much about it, but I really do think the European countries do value tennis in the Olympics.
Is that true at all?
Go ask my neighbor. Yeah, I think so.
I know all of your neighbors. I used to be your neighbor.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I'm looking at the names real quick though. Djokovic. Yeah. All right, whatever. We can do C.
I don't understand how you're going to use Djokovic being in it to push it up.
Because golf is different.
it's not. Golf's the same.
It's not head to head.
Yeah, golf and tennis have to be the same letter, and I really don't want to move golf up to a C.
We're gonna put. No, we're good with C just because we do have the top athletes in tennis.
We have the top athletes in equestrian.
Yeah.
We have the top athletes in surfing and rhythmic gymnastics.
Oh,
And
we don't
pentathlon,
have the
and
top horses though.
and 3-on-3 basketball. We have the top 3-on-3 basketball athletes. We have the top
that's
athletes
true.
in sports climbing and skateboarding and artistic swimming and not baseball or softball. And we do in
Can't
softball.
confirm all those.
Okay. Anyways, trampoline gymnastics.
I'm gonna go D.
I think this is pretty. It's a pretty cool sport, but
It is.
I'm okay with a D.
I just didn't want it shouldn't be a sport because I will turn it on.
Oh, I shouldn't be a sport was not in contention for me.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, this was either a C or a D, I thought. But I'm cool with a D. I mean, I think it's the clear number 2 gymnastic sport out of the 3. So next up, triathlon.
And real quick, I am looking at the golf. They do have some decent names. Not the best.
Just
but
because a
they do have
sport
some.
is popular. I guess I have been arguing for star power.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think star
everything
power more in
into
like a context of people who are only known for their Olympic prowess, right? Like if Novak Djokovic never played in the Olympics, it would have zero impact on his tennis credentials. But if Simone Biles was never in the Olympics, that's like everything for a gymnast.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Not
I
that we
think
were arguing this
triathlon.
too, but
I think triathlon needs to be a B.
I was gonna maybe even say an A tier for triathlon.
I'm not going to go that far, just from the standpoint that no one watches the whole triathlon.
I mean, nobody watches athletics qualifiers.
No, but okay, but you're still watching most of the events in their duration, minus like the mile. No, they do the whole mile. It's like the maybe the 2-mile race. Triathlon, I mean, they're going to show clips, but it's very competitive. I mean, it's intense.
I'll be fine with the B for triathlon.
Yeah.
Volleyball.
So we got beach volleyball as a S.
No, beach volleyball's an A.
Oh, it's an A. That's right.
I think volleyball is a C.
Yeah, I'm gonna go C.
It's like a pretty cool sport. It's outshined by beach volleyball. I don't think it belongs with the B's.
And I also think, Nick, this could be a little bit of a hot take, but I'd rather watch college volleyball than Olympic volleyball for 6-on-6.
Maybe.
Okay, maybe that's a stretch, but
Yeah,
Larry,
beach is
we were
100%
talking about
way better.
beach. Yeah, Nick tried to talk about like the bikini stuff, and I was like, "You got to cut that down, man." It was actually me, but
Of course, it was you. I don't think anybody would have believed you, even if nobody heard the conversation.
Jake was like, "Really, man? You got him."
Yep, they got me. I'm just out here perving at the
Okay, so this is going to be very interesting.
Is it? I think water polo is an A tier. As an Olympic sport, water polo is an A tier.
Okay, can you scroll back up to the A's? Because now we set the precedence. We have the standard.
I think this is such a cool sport.
I agree, but I'm kind of thinking B.
Also, the A tier is looking a little sparse.
That's fine.
Yeah, I feel like actually quite strongly that water polo is an A tier sport. I think it's more A tier than rowing.
Yeah, Jake does make a good point. And another thing about water polo, this is going to be really weird, but it reminds me of Jokic, the way he passes the ball. When they cock the ball back.
Yeah, in another life, Jokic is on Serbia's water polo team.
Yeah. All right, we can go A. Just for Jokic.
Just for Jokic. Weightlifting.
I'm gonna go B
I was going to say B also for weightlifting.
because weightlifting is it's kind of a very classic Olympic sport.
Yeah, it feels like a pretty fundamental thing.
Yeah, and it's fun, right? You get those Russians, super technical. Usually, the United States have a pretty good guy, and then I think Japan, they'll have someone.
You see
It's a fun one.
Central Asian countries will have quite talented weightlifters.
Yeah,
I think it's a quite international sport relative to some of these other ones.
yeah. I think Romania, they'll have some really good jerkers.
Who is it? It's like Nick Mangold's sister or somebody.
Oh, really?
There's an NFL center or something. I just made it sound like a really stupid story, but there's the sister of an NFL player is one of the best weightlifters in the world.
Wow.
I probably got the actual NFL player wrong though. Last up,
Makes sense.
wrestling.
Okay.
Okay. You go first.
Yeah. I'm kind of going with C on this one.
I think wrestling is an A-tier Olympic sport. It does not get more fundamental than wrestling as an Olympic sport. It's like an ancient Greek Olympic sport. It has to be A-tier. The Olympics don't exist if there is no wrestling.
Well, I see what you're saying, but if we took away wrestling, is anyone really going to miss it?
I think if wrestling, the Olympics would survive without wrestling right now, but the Olympics wouldn't exist without wrestling.
I mean, that's fair.
It has to be an A-tier Olympic sport.
I think it's debatable.
No, I really don't think it's debatable. Then
So it's A.
You're outvoted
Just
3-1.
100% it's A.
It's
That's what you're
100%
saying?
an A-tier Olympic sport.
I would say B, but that's fine. I'd rather watch college wrestling.
I think that this is like the one spot where, and I think this is the only sport where I feel this way, that it's just the legacy of it in the Olympics makes it have to be where it is.
I mean, can you guys name anyone wrestling?
But that's the reason why it's not S tier.
That's why it should be B.
No, that's why it should be A. Its legacy is S tier. It's better. I think it's a better sport than all of the other combat sports as an Olympic sport also, so it has to be at least B.
All right. I'm fine with it.
And you average those two out, it's an A.
In my heart, it's a B, but we can go A.
We're going A. I'm in control. I am the captain
true.
now.
I don't have the control switch for these.
All right. So is there anything that we want to change? So the A tier right now, we have athletics, swimming, and artistic gymnastics. I think that all of those are unquestionable S tier sports. A tier, we have beach volleyball, rowing, water polo, and wrestling. The one that I'm questioning is rowing. I think if one were to move down, it would be rowing.
Oh yeah, I even think we can move beach volleyball up to an S. The more I think about it,
But I just don't think that beach volleyball is in the same class as other things. So the other thing that beach volleyball doesn't have going for it is that there's only two competitions. There's the one men's bracket and the one women's bracket. Athletics is like so many different events. There's like
Yeah.
all of the different running distances and all of the different track events,
See, is
and then
that
there's
fair?
like the speed walking. Well, I mean, it's just the way that they classify them. They're all under athletics, and it's the same with swimming, right? There's all of the different distances, and then there's the relays, and artistic gymnastics is a little bit lesser extent, but the same thing also.
Okay, I'm fine with A. That's a good point.
I think
But
I think
Jake, I see what you're saying
if
because
if there was like 10 different beach volleyball events somehow, then it would be an S tier.
I think that's a little unfair to judge them that way, though.
Well, I think it's a defining thing of what makes S tier S tier.
Yeah, we can leave it at A, and I think rowing should. Should it stay at A?
It feels like it doesn't quite belong with the other ones. Like rowing and beach volleyball in the same tier feels wrong. It's like some I think it belongs with something with the stuff like fencing and handball,
Yeah.
right? It's something that you'll tune into and really care about in the Olympics, but aside from that, you really just don't care.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a B plus.
Although at the same time though, should we instead move some of those up to A tier?
And B.
Yeah. And then I think
Yeah, basketball.
if we were to, no, not basketball. If we were to move some of these other things up into A, I could see moving beach volleyball up to S.
I feel the one that I could see going up to A is diving, but I think it's like a B plus.
Yeah, so I guess what do we want what do we
and
want
the
our tiers
kicker,
to look like?
real quick, the kicker with diving too is they have the synchronized diving. That's my case for A.
Yeah, so I'd be happy to move several of these up to A, if I'm being honest.
I think table tennis should stay.
I think I'd be okay moving table tennis up. I'd be okay moving handball up. I'd be okay moving diving up, and I'd be okay moving triathlon up.
Well, let's move diving up because it sounds like we agree.
I think I'm cool with moving diving up to A.
Triathlon. I'm curious what Larry and Jake think because the thing with triathlon though, it's
Yeah, I totally understand your. It's kind of hard to watch the whole thing.
yeah, and are we giving it more credit just because there's 3 events in one? But
Yeah,
then we're gonna put it against the other ones that we.
Well, but this makes sense, right?
Yeah,
Modern
I know,
pentathlon
but-
just doesn't make sense. Okay, triathlon B. I'm cool with it.
Diving A. Table tennis, I think, has to stay B. I mean, B's solid.
Yeah.
Like, let's not act like a B is a bad thing. I mean, we kick some of these sports out, so B looks good in retrospect.
All right. Any changes you want to make to the C tier? So in the C tier, we have archery, boxing, BMX racing, BMX freestyle, soccer, mountain bike, judo, marathon swim, karate, shooting, taekwondo, tennis, and volleyball. So I kind of want to move these BMX events, or at least the BMX freestyle, down to a D.
I can get down with that. And the other thing too, Jake just said, I was actually thinking about archery making a case for a B.
Yeah, the more archery was the first one that we did because it was the first one alphabetically. But thinking about it, I actually do think that archery belongs up with these guys.
So, fun fact about archery: this guy Mitch Unrein used to play for the Broncos and the Bears, and I actually knew him through a mutual friend, and his wife was like an Olympic. Is it an archerist?
Archer.
Archer. Archerist. Archer. But yeah, I'm cool with the I'm cool with putting the
I like
biking down.
yeah, I think that so the BMX I think the BMX racing can stay at C. I think having that and the mountain biking together makes sense. It's a pretty similar two similar events from a certain perspective. Obviously, completely different types of athletes. But I think that the BMX freestyle, like the park BMX, deserves a D. It should be with
Yeah.
skateboarding.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Anything else here? I feel like these all feel like pretty solid C's to me. You seem a
Shooting,
little-
nah.
What were you gonna say with shooting?
I thought maybe it could be a B, but no.
I
I'm
don't
just
think
going.
shooting's a B.
I'm going through each one and just saying, and can't make that case. And yeah, Jake, we did. We went to the All-Star game. It's pretty fun,
Twas.
and the under hit too, so that was great.
So in D tier, we have artistic swimming, aka synchronized swimming, baseball and softball, canoe, the slalom and the sprint both, golf, hockey, field hockey, sailing, rugby, skateboarding, sport climbing, the BMX freestyle that we just moved down, and trampoline gymnastics.
So I think there. Let's see, 1, 2. Okay, so here are 3 that I can make a case to move up. Okay, actually 2. I was gonna say artistic swimming, but I can't make that case. Golf and rugby.
Okay, so I'm cool with golf moving up. I think tennis. The more I think about it, belongs in C, and golf and tennis should be in the same.
Because
thing.
okay, here's the thing with rugby. It's a pretty widespread international sport, and I feel like if it's on, people watch it. So I just like having rugby next to skateboarding and trampoline gymnastics, BMX, canoe, slalom. I don't know if it should be in the same same ranking as that.
It doesn't really feel like a traditional Olympic type sport to me.
Well, that's why it's a C, or could be a C. Let's see here.
If you guys want to vote me 3-1 to move rugby up to a C, then we'll do that.
Ooh. Well, I don't. We can't bring this point up because then we're gonna have to do it for every sport, or every Olympic sport.
What's the point?
Well, the top 2 teams pulled out.
Oh, no, I think this shouldn't depend on any individuals that are actually playing this year.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not it's not ranking them based on their 2020 excitement. It's just ranking their merits as Olympic sports,
Yeah.
regardless of any individual specific athletes that are competing this year.
Yeah. I mean, Larry, Jake agree.
Okay,
I think
We'll do it.
it's a C. C minus.
I don't hate it. Yeah, I think it's a C minus.
Yeah, C minus.
And then shouldn't be an Olympic sport. We have 3-on-3 basketball. We have equestrian, modern pentathlon, rhythmic gymnastics, and surfing. So I actually do want to make a case for rhythmic gymnastics to move up to a D tier.
We were a little harsh.
I think it's a little harsh to throw it in here.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Yeah, 3-on-3 basketball, equestrian.
The modern pentathlon and is one that shouldn't exist as a sport, regardless of Olympics or not.
Yeah.
All the others are reasonable sports. They just shouldn't be in the Olympics. Modern pentathlon. I'm actually going to make a new tier.
What's the new tier?
This is going to be shouldn't be
Ever?
an
Banned
Olympic
from
sport.
existence.
Shouldn't be be a sport at all. I don't know how to center that. Okay. Does anybody disagree with that?
Yeah, but Jake, you have to think the top basketball players are in the actual basketball event, not 3-on-3.
Well, but it's like saying, I disagree with that argument actually. So 3-on-3 basketball is a different skill set, right? So if you took centers from today's NBA, they'd be terrible at 3-on-3 basketball because there's more space.
So you're telling me that if who's stopping Shaq back in the day?
I'm not. It's not all about offense. How are you going to defend with Shaq in 3-on-3 against three players who can actually move?
Well, I think it goes both ways. I mean, think about it.
Like if you have Shaq guarding on the perimeter, that you've lost. I don't care how many points Shaq scores.
Run a 2-1 zone.
You can't run a 2-1 zone against three players on the perimeter.
You can. It just wouldn't be that effective.
Yeah, you can. It wouldn't work at all.
I just think like saying it's a different skill set's a little bit of a stretch.
No, I don't think it's a stretch at all.
I think you need different
it's the
strategies.
same, but it's like saying that the 800-meter freestyle sucks because the people who are good at the 100-meter freestyle aren't in it. It's both swimming.
No, I think it's too. I mean, you have a half court, two less players. It's no. I'm not buying that one.
I'm buying it completely.
Well, we both agree it should be a sport, so.
Well, yeah, I think that's a different story though. I think a lot of the best players in the NBA, if they dedicated their time to 3-on-3, obviously would become the best at it. But I think that a lot of the best players in the NBA...
They wouldn't even need to dedicate their time.
No,
That's
they would.
what I'm saying.
I think they would.
So you're telling me if the top 3 NBA players just made a U.S. team, they wouldn't win? They would kill it. It would be game over. That's my argument.
Well, I mean, you look at the basketball tournament, right? It's not like the best 3 former NBA players win that every year.
In the actual?
In the basketball tournament, the $1 million the basketball tournament.
Oh. Well, that's probably more competitive than this league.
Is it?
I would argue, yeah. I would have to look more into it, but if Robbie Hummel is...
I mean, Robbie Hummel, aside from... He had, like, catastrophic leg injury.
Yeah.
He was a really good basketball player aside from that. I mean, he'd still be in the NBA.
I just don't think it should be a sport.
I don't disagree. I just disagree with your other point.
Not a different skill set. I'm sorry.
I think it's a different skill set.
No.
Do you think... I mean... Do you think, like, Dwight Howard would have ever been good at 3-on-3 basketball? Or prime Andre Drummond?
I'll say that if Dwight Howard, LeBron James, and
Rudy
Kevin
Gobert.
Durant... Listen, Dwight Howard, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, if they made a 3-on-3 team for the USA, I'm putting my money on that team.
I disagree.
There's no goaltending either. I'm just kidding. Dwight Howard's just like,
well, that might change things.
Every 3. It's like it's like street ball. You just
it's like no.
God, that would be that would be wild.
Yeah.
No goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
Just have to dunk every time.
Yeah, I think a lot of the NBA players would translate. But I mean, like, so anybody who thrives in transition would suck at this because there is no transition. Mm-hmm. So players who get value that way, their skill sets are neutralized. I think any good interior defenders, they all suck at this. There's a lot of players who don't translate at all.
I mean, that still doesn't.
Well, but then the other thing though is that if those things aren't NBA skill sets, there's a lot of players who aren't in the NBA right now who are suddenly NBA players.
That's why it shouldn't be a sport. Real quick, Nick. The women's field is France, Russia, China, Romania, Italy, Japan, Mongolia, United States, and then it's for men's Serbia, Russia, Latvia, Netherlands, China, Japan, Poland, and Belgium.
Am I supposed to get anything out of that?
Just wanted to share. I'm curious what the women's team is for the United States.
I think it was WNBA players.
Was?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, but I think we could probably argue about 3v3 basketball for another 20 minutes. But I think it's time to call it. It looks like it's starting to storm here. I got to take the dog out. Might get drenched.
So we have to post this on Twitter.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we're probably gonna get some upset people, but hey, it's fine.
We should. I mean, if they're upset, tell them to come join us as we're making it live.
Yeah, and we
next
were
time.
very thorough. We discussed each one. It's not like we made this in.
I think that
20 minutes.
there's a couple sports that we just didn't know enough about. Like I think a lot of the combat sports, neither of us knew a whole lot about.
Yeah.
And
we might get a little
some
bit
of the other
of
stuff.
Well, we gave it a C, so I'm
Yeah.
okay with those.
But yeah, so thank you all for being here. We're
We're
planning
gonna
on
have
doing more of these.
Yeah, we'll have I think Olympics was a good first one, but I think we'll have some stronger opinions when we do. Nick and I threw around a few ideas, but we had if a quarterback's elite, I think that's gonna be a hot one.
Doing like 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL, doing a tier list with them, doing other positions also, like running backs or wide receivers, that kind of thing. Also, both of you are getting tagged on Twitter.
Yeah.
So good luck. All of the good opinions were ours. All of the bad opinions were yours.
Well, I was gonna say I think the comments they don't go away. So.
But yeah. So some other ideas that we had. Doing like NFL jersey rankings. I think is another kind of cool non-sports betting related one to do. Best and worst sports to bet on. So kind of doing this, but from a sports betting perspective. No screenshots. I kind of just wanted to take a screenshot right there. But best and worst sports to bet on, I think would be a really cool tier list. Doing for the NFL season upcoming, compiling 30 or 40 different MVP bets that you could make and doing a tier list on those, doing the same thing with rookie of the year bets, doing like a sports betting concept tier list. So you have RLM on there, you have sharp money, or public money on there, stuff like that. Most rigged sport, basketball, S tier, tennis, A tier. Everything else.
It's gonna be
not rigged.
Russian table tennis.
Russian table. That's just its own tier.
That's S.
No, there's a tier above S tier called Russian table tennis.
Yeah,
and the only thing in it is Russian table tennis.
So yeah, Nick, make sure to save that on the thing or whatever and send it to me.
I am going to. Yeah, I'm gonna probably alphabetize or rearrange stuff, but then save it and send it off to you. All right.
Alrighty.
Yeah. So thank you all again for being here. Appreciate you very much.
Yeah, that was fun. I'm excited.
I enjoyed
to watch
doing that
some
a
of
lot.
these now. some of the ones well, never mind. I was gonna say I'm excited to watch the the rhythmic gymnastics, but not really actually.
Excited to not watch the modern pentathlon.
Yeah.
All right.